Previously, my friend told me that Amos bow, the bow that I want the most, is not the best for Ganyu anymore. When I heard that, I have a question. Really? Warning! This video has some bias involved, so don't believe everything I say. I can guarantee that my calculations are 100% correct. I'm a beginner in programming. I never say that my idea is the best, and I didn't think so either. สวัสดีคุณผู้ชมทุกท่าน Sorry, I'm using wrong language. Hello everyone. My friend says Ganyu's best weapon is Aqua or Hunter's Path. Honestly, I'm not sure if what my friend says was false. It might be true for someone else's playstyle, but is it true for my playstyle? I always use Ganyu's charge attack from a long distance, like this, or this. I don't use male reaction and don't get close to an opponent. Therefore, I don't think Aqua and Hunter's Path are the best for my Ganyu. I was unsure about my idea, so I wrote my program to test it. This video will show both my process and results. In my program, I will be focusing on maximizing the damage output of Frostflake Arrow Bloom with an emphasis on the artifact's main set of 80% KO damage and critical damage. For the subsets, I will be using 80% crit rate and crit damage. Since I won't be using the reverse male reaction, I don't want to factor in elemental mastery, so I will be excluding the Hunter Path for my comparison. It's not because I can't calculate EM. No, not like that. Believe me, it's not. No. I have divided the work into 3 parts. 1. Damage calculation. 2. Character and weapon set management. And artifact management. If I were to rank them by difficulty, I think the order would be like this. On the other hand, if I list them by the work that I will do, the order will be like this, cause parts 1 and 3 are the main functions. If I were done with part 2 first, and then I find out that I can't complete parts 1 or 3, then all the time I spent on part 2 would be wasted. Alright, now the planning is done. So, let's get to work. The damage of Genshin Impact can be calculated with this equation. You might ask, what is X? Of course, my answer is, I don't know. When I got the completed equation, the next thing I have to do is convert this equation into code. Well, I think we have reached the final stage. I will call this stage is tester stage, and that tester is me. To test the accuracy of the program, I had to test with various opponent levels, and the opponent levels I choose is 88, 90, 93, 98 and 100. Of course, 98 and 100 are the monster in the abyss, the content that I don't like. To minimize errors in my calculations, I decided to use character set value I found online instead of using the set that shows in game, which involves rounding. I think the result is bad, but before that, let me test something else. Ganyu no 7. Alright, let's go to the next part. The hardest part. At first, my plan was to generate all possible artifacts with maximum value of 9. However, I had to abandon that idea after discussing it over the dinner table with my friend.
Hypothetical situation.
ถ้านายทำแบบนั้นมันไม่ใช้เวลาคำนวณเป็นเดือนเลยเหรอ แล้วทำไมนายคิดแบบนั้นล่ะ ก็ความเป็นไปได้ของอาร์ติแฟกต์น่ะมันเยอะมากเลยนะ Actually, when I was in high school, I used to sleep during math class and ignore statistics. So I didn't take this into consideration. When I came to the dorm, I reconsidered this matter. I'm not sure if I calculated it correctly. If my previous calculations were correct, then all possible outcomes in this event are equal to this.
Let me explain for a moment. Here is my code for finding the total possible outcomes. What this code does is create a file that collects the numbers of I, j, and k that add up to no more than 8. After collecting the numbers of I, j, and k, the code multiplies each number by 4 because each substat has 4 possible values. After multiplying I, j, and k by 4 and obtaining their product, I change all zeros to ones to prevent the outcome value from being 0 in that case. After obtaining the outcome values for all possible cases, I add them together to obtain the final value. As for 2185, it's because I changed 8 to 7 and use only 2 variables. Alright, let's return to my actual voice.
Wow, what a big number. Let me test the speed of the for loop on my PC for a moment. We know that it took us 196 seconds to run the for loop 10 to the power of 11 times. So if we run loops this number times, it will take, my friend, it's not just a month. But what if I only use the maximum value for subsets? If my calculation is accurate, the probability will look like this, and it will take up to 8 seconds in the loop. When I got that idea, I chose to take a break from it and started playing the game. I mean, Hogwarts new game. While I was playing, another idea popped into my head. What if I group each subset together and figure out how many subsets each group should have instead? Wow! There is a smaller sample space than before. So I decided on this concept to build my program. Certainly, there are a lot of bugs again, like this one, the impossible artifact. At this part, it's not that hard. I have simply created a response story for characters, weapons, and artifacts, along with designing how to use them. Information about weapons and characters, I keep them in the text file. However, for artifacts, I will changing them manually, cause I'm too lazy to do it using a text file. Alright, let's go to the next step. After finishing each part, the next step is combine them together. Modify the code slightly to avoid conflicts between them. Manage the format to be displayed. Tested the code repeatedly until I have some assurance that there were no bugs in my code. When everything is done, I can say that my program is complete. I will reiterate, my program focuses on maximizing frostbite arrow bloom damage under these conditions. The numbers I will show here are the results of calculations for my program. I cannot guarantee its accuracy, but if you wish to use it as a guide, it is up to your discretion. This is the list of balls I will compare, and the artifacts are these 3.